Good morning, everyone. I am Vincent A. Villanueva. Today, I am going to report curriculum model in science education for MAED-C. Good morning, Professor Dr. Arlene Justo. Today, I am titled to discuss about assessment strategies aligned with various curriculum models. In overview of my lessons, assessment strategies play a crucial role in reinforcing learning outcomes across various curriculum models. Different models emphasize different approaches to education, and their corresponding assessment strategies must be aligned to effectively measure students' progress and achievement. Tyler model. The Tyler model focuses on clear objectives and a systematic approach to curriculum design. Assessment strategies within this model include standardized tests, formative assessments, and summative evaluation aligned with predefined learning objectives. Using Tyler's framework, educators often evaluate students' performance by comparing outcomes against establishing goals, ensuring the assessment reflect the intended learning experience. The Tyler model of curriculum development is also known as the objective model, was developed by Ralph Tyler in 1949. It is a systematic and linear approach to curriculum development that focuses on four fundamental questions. These are: what educational purposes should the school seek to attain? What educational experiences can be provided that are likely to attain these purposes? And how can these educational experiences be effective organized? The Tyler model involves a step by step process of curriculum development that begins with defining the objectives of the curriculum, identifying appropriate learning experiences, organizing these experiences into logical sequence, and assessing the effectiveness of the curriculum in achieving its objectives. We have here the four stages of the Tyler models. First, we have defining objectives. The first stage involves identifying the educational objectives or goal that the curriculum is intended to achieve. Objectives should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. The second one is the selecting content. The second stage involves identifying the content and learning experiences that will help students achieve the objectives identified in the first stage. The content should be relevant, meaningful, and appropriate for the intended audience. The third one is organizing content. This third stage involves organizing the content and learning experiences into a local sequence that facilitate learning. This may involve developing a scope and sequence, creating lesson plans, and designing assessments. And the last one is the evaluating outcomes. The final stage involves evaluating the effectiveness of the curriculum in achieving the objectives. This may involve assessing students' learning, evaluating the effectiveness of the teaching strategies and material use, and making any necessary revisions to the curriculum. I'm gonna show you Tyler's model objectives. We have the overview, we have the objectives, content, method, and evaluation. You can see here the objectives is stating that aims and objectives of the program based on the respective philosophy of education. Content followed by the contents with selecting the content or subject matter that helps students to achieve their objectives. And deciding the methods to organize and present the content, and evaluating to determine the methods to measure to extent the extent objectives are is achieved. The next one is TABA model. TABA model is emphasizes the importance of teacher involved and students need in the curriculum development process. Assessment strategies here are more flexible and include project based learning and reflective journal. Teacher assess students' learning through observational methods and group work that align with students' interests and involve evolving needs, thus fostering greater engagement and critical thinking skills. The model encouraged open ended questions to assess higher order thinking rather than the rote of memorization. Here you can see the model. It is a prominent framework for the curriculum development that emphasizes a grassroots, teacher centered approach. So these are developed by Hilda Taba in the 1960s. This model focuses on the role in the teacher in designing and implementation of educational programs based on the specific needs of their students. Below are the key aspects of Taba model. So here you can see the organization from diagnosis of needs, formulating objectives, selecting content, organizing content, the key concept, main ideas, facts, and selecting learning experiences. Organizing learning experiences by teaching strategies for cognitive development and for affective development. And lastly is the evaluation. The TAMA model is characterized by its insistence on a systematic and logical process for curriculum development. This model promotes a collaborate and effective approach, allowing students to adapt their teaching plans to meet diverse needs of learners. It is often described as a bottom-up model, which contrasts with top-down approach that impose standardized curriculum from administrative levels. So here are the 7 steps of the TABA model. Diagnosis of learners' needs. The first step involves assessing the needs and interests and capabilities of students. So teachers collect data through survey, interview, and discussions to understand the students require from the curriculum. Formulation of objective based on the needs of assessment. So teacher then it articulates specific, measurable learning objectives aimed at addressing those needs. These objectives should clarify what students should know and be able to do by the end of the instructional period. Selection of content. After defining objectives, teachers select appropriate content that aligns with the established goals. The content must be relevant, meaningful, and significant to student lives, thus enhancing engagement and learning outcomes. Organization of content is organizing the selected content involving structural, it's logically and sequentially. This ensures that the material flow in a coherent manner, facilitating better understanding and retention by students. Selection of learning experience. In this step, educators choose the appropriate instructional methods and strategies that will effectively engage students in learning. So this could include hands-on activities, discussions, and collaborative projects promoting active and interactive learning environment. Organization of learning activities. Teacher then organize the learning activities in a way that respect the sequence of content and development characteristic of learners. This step ensures that the learning experience build upon each other progressively, leading to mastery of the subject matter. And lastly is the evaluation of outcomes. This is the final steps involves addressing of effectiveness of the curriculum and the degree to which the learning objectives has been achieved. This evaluation can take various forms, including formative assessments, summative assessments, and feedback mechanism to inform future instruction. So here are the strengths of the TABA model. First is a teacher involvement. By emphasizing teacher input and assessment of the students' needs, the model fosters a collaborative environment for curriculum development. It focuses on student-centered learning. This model ensures that the curricula are tailored to address the specific requirements of students, thereby enhancing engagement and learning. Flexibility and adaptability. The TABA models allow also for modification based on the evaluation and feedback, enabling educators to refine their approaches to continuously. So we have advantage, we have also limitation of the TABA model despite of its advantage. First is a time intensive process. The thorough nature of the model can be time consuming, potentially delaying the implementation of new curricula. Resource intensity. Resource intensive, a comprehensive needs assessment and ongoing evaluation requires considerable resources which may not always be available. Dependency on teacher expertise. The model requires heavily of the professional skills of teacher which can vary significantly among educators. A third one is backward design model. The backward design model popularized by Wiggins and McTighe begins with identifying desired learning outcomes and then devising assessments to measure those outcomes. Its structured approach involved these strategies. So we have three stages here: defining educational goals, planning assessment that provides evidence of learning, and design instructional strategies. Assessment strategies can include performance tasks and authentic assessment that are closely aligned with other learning objectives. This model promotes coherence of curriculum, ensuring the instruction and assessment are interconnected. Backward design shift the focus on learning planning from the teacher will teach to what students should learn. By concentrating at the end of the goals, educators can create a more coherent and purpose driven curriculum that enhances students' and understanding and achievement. Model encourage teachers to think critically by assessment and instructional methods from the outset, ensuring alignment with learning objectives. So we have three stages of backward design models. The first is identify the desired results. Defining learning object Define learning goals. Educators begin by determining what students should know, understand, and be able to do by the end of the lesson, unit, or course. These goals should be aligned with academic standards and incorporate essential knowledge that promote deep understanding. Establishing enduring understanding focus on the big D ideas and concepts that students should retain long after the course end. This include identifying key themes, skills, and knowledge vital for mastering the subject matter. Determining acceptable evidence is second. Assessment planning. In this stage, educators determine how they will measure students' learning. This involves selecting appropriate assessment that provide evidence of whether students have achieved the desired outcomes. Achieved assessment can be formative, ongoing check for understanding, or summative, culminating evaluation at the end of the unit. Designing assessment criteria clearly define what constitutes successful performance and the criteria for evaluating students' work. This may involve rubrics, scoring guides, and exemplars to clarify expectations for students. The third one is a plan learning experiences and instruction. Instructional strategies with the outcomes and assessment establishing teacher design instructional activities that will help students to achieve learning goals. This may include direct instruction, collaborative projects, hands-on activities, and differentiated learning experiences to meet diverse learner needs. Alignment and sequencing ensure that the chosen learning activities are aligned with the desired results and the assessment methods. Organize these activities sequentially builds knowledge and skills progressively, allowing students to connect concepts logically. So the benefit of the backward design is the clarity in learning objectives. By starting at the end of with the end goals, educators provide a clear roadmap for teaching and assessment, ensuring that all activities are purposely aligned with desired outcomes, enhance student engagement, focusing on a real world application, and enduring understanding foster a deeper connection between students and a subject matter, leading to increased motivation and engagement. Improve assessment practices. The emphasis of assessment from the beginning encouraged teachers to design meaningful assessment that truly measures students' understanding rather than simply checking for factual recall. Development for transferable skill. By contrasting big ideas and critical skill, backward design promote the application of knowledge in various contexts, preparing students for future learning challenges. Learner-centered model curriculum model places students' needs, interests, and experiences at the forefront of a learning process. Assessment strategies in this model often include assessment, self assessment, and portfolios that allow students to showcase their individual learning journeys. These assessments are designed to encourage reflection and self directed learning, aligning closely with proposal, personal, educational goals, and outcomes. The emphasis is on allowing students to engage meaningful with the content with enhanced motivation and understanding. The learner centered model is an education approach that prioritizes the needs, interests, and experiences of students in the learning process. It shifts the focus from traditional learning centered instruction to a more collaborative, engaging, and personal learning environment. Here below are key features, principal benefits, and the challenges associated with the learning centered model. Active active engagement. Students actively participate in the learning process through discussions, group work, problem solving, hands-on activities. This engagement fosters deeper understanding and retention of knowledge. Collaboration. The model encourage collaborate among students, allowing them to learn from one another through cooperative learning environments, students share their perspective and experiences, enriching the learning experiences. Personalization. Learning experiences are tailored to meet individual students' need, interests, and learning style. Teacher provide options and choices for students, allowing them to pursue topic and relevance to their curiosity and goals. Facilitated learning. Instructors serve as facilitator or guides rather than traditional lecturer. They created environment that promote inquiry and exploration, encouraging students to ask questions and engage with material actively. Reflection and metacognition. The learner-centered model emphasizes the importance of self-reflection and metacognition. Students are encouraged to think about their learning processes, set goals, and assess their understanding, fostering lifelong learning skills. We have four principles of the learner centered model. The first is the respect for diversity. Acknowledge that students comes with varying backgrounds, experiences, and learning preferences. Instruction is designed to be inclusive, accommodating to diverse needs. Constructivist approach. Knowledge is constructed through interaction with the environment and collaboration with peers. Students build upon their prior knowledge and experiences, promoting meaningful learning. Real world connections emphasizes the relevance of learning to real world situations. Project and assignments are often grounded in authentic contexts, allowing students to apply their knowledge in practical ways. Continuous assessment. Assessment is seen as an ongoing process rather than a one time event. Formative assessments such as quizzes, discussions, and project work are used regularly to gauge understanding and guide instruction. The benefit of learning centered model increased engagement is first is actively participation leads to higher level of organization, motivation among students, which can enhance overall learning outcomes, improve retention and understanding. Personalization and active learning strategies contribute to deeper understanding, enabling students to retain information more effectively. Development of critical skills. The model fosters essential skills such as critical thinking, problem solving, communication, collaboration, preparing students for success in the 21st century. Empowerment of students by allowing choice and encouraging ownership of their learning. Students feel empowered and leading to greater responsibility toward their education. Problem-centered curriculum model involve designing assessment that focus on the real-world challenges, encouraging, encouraging students to engage in authentic learning experiences. Assessment strategies in this model include group projects, case studies, and simulation. These assessments not only evaluate students' understanding, but also promote the development of problem solving and critical thinking skills, aligning direct with a model focus on inquiry based learning. The assessments are crafted to reflect complexities of real world situations, thereby enhancing relevance and application of knowledge. Challenges of the problem centered curriculum model: resource intensity. Implementation. A problem centered curriculum can require significant resources, including time, materials, and access of information. Teacher must be prepared to invest in planning and executing these learning experiences. Balance, structure, and flexibility. Teacher must strike a balance between providing enough structure to guide students and allowing the flexibility needed for exploration. This requires careful planning and adaptability in instruction. Assessment difficulties. Traditional assessment methods may not accurately reflect students' understands and skills developed through problem-centered learning. Educators need to design assessment that align with the objectives of the model and measure students' problem solving abilities. Classroom management. With increased students' autonomy and collaboration, classroom management can become more complex. Teacher must develop strategies to manage group dynamics and ensure that all students are engaged and accountable. By implementing the problem centered curriculum model, identify relevant problems by starting to identify the problems that are meaningful to students and relevant to their lives and communities. Involving students in selecting these problems can enhance their investment in the learning process. Design inquiry-based activities, create activities that encourage students to explore the problem, gathering information, and develop potential solution. Utilize interviews, case studies, or field work to provide authentic learning experiences. Facilitate collaboration, foster a collaborative classroom environment where students can work together in groups. This promote the sharing of ideas, diverse perspective, and enhance the learning experience. Integrate assessment. Develop assessment strategies that evaluate students' problem solving process and outcomes. Use formative assessment such as peer reviews, presentation, and reflection to gauge process continuously. And last is reflect on learning. Encourage students to reflect on their learning experiences and skills they have developed throughout the process. This reflection can be documented in journals or shared in class discussions. Quiz time. True or false? Number one, assessment strategies in a problem-centered curriculum model focus primarily on standardized testing rather than on real-world application. The answer is false. Number two, the backward design model emphasizes the creation of assessment before planning instruction to ensure alignment with desired learning outcomes. True. In a learner-centered model, assessments are primarily teacher-directed and do not involve students' input or collaboration. False. Number four, the Taba model of curriculum development includes formative assessment as part of its seven-step process to gauge students' understanding and progress. True. Last questions. Authentic assessment are a key aspect of both problem-centered and project-based learning curriculum model as they require students to demonstrate their knowledge and skills through real-world tasks. True. The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to my report, and you have a good day, everyone. Bye.